Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are doing another autumn nail art design, as I have been really loving getting out all of the autumn shades and having to play around with a few different color combinations. So I really hope you all enjoy it watching. Now I am going to be working on some longer nail tips today because I thought it would be fun to switch things up and do a longer nail design. So for my base shades I'm going to be using Vanilla Latte, Wine With Me and French White. The French White is just going to be a base for a marble nail, as I always like to have a coat of white underneath just to make sure those colors in your marble are really going to pop. Now of course if you was doing this on yourself or a client, you would do all of your prep and base coat first of all and then come in with your colors. So first of all we're coming in with that gorgeous Vanilla Latte on what would be the middle and the ring finger. I really love this color for autumn. It's just creamy and cozy and it pairs up with all the autumn shades absolutely beautifully. Then we're going to come in on the little finger and the thumb with Wine With Me, and this is kind of a berry purple shade and it does have a little bit of a jelly effect to it in one coat as well, so it's great if you wanted to play around with any kind of jelly nail art. It does look a little bit more opaque in two coats, but if you wanted this to look more of a solid color, if you didn't want that jelly effect, then I would highly recommend using one of the rubber color bases underneath, especially one of the more opaque shades like RB01, which is a pretty solid white. Alternatively, you could do a clear base coat and then a thin coat of a nude color underneath and then come in with Wine With Me, and it would give it that more solid opaque effect rather than the jelly effect. But I do really like this effect, especially for autumn and what I had planned for this set of nails. I felt as though it worked really well, and the color does still look quite a lot more solid when you do come in and add that second coat anyway. So once we've done that first coat, we do need to come in and apply our second coat of gel polish. I always keep my first coat quite thin, and then with the second coat I'll float this on, keeping it thin but ever so slightly thicker than that first coat of color. And as you can see, once you add that second coat, the pigmentation really comes to life, especially with these creamy shades like Vanilla Latte, which I absolutely love. I'm not going to add a second coat of French White because we're not actually going to be seeing any of that white shade because I'm going to be doing a full marble nail. So we're just going to keep that to one coat because we don't want to add any unnecessary thickness or bulk. But we're coming in here and adding on that second coat of Wine With Me, where again you're going to see more of that pigmentation coming through. And then once we have applied our second coat of colour, we've got all of our bases done. We're going to pop them in to cure for 30 seconds. And then I wanted to add two more colours into the nail art design. So these are what the base nail colors look like, and I really loved how they paired up together, but I wanted to add in a little bit of Keep It Teal and Sunset Glow and a hint of sparkle with the beautiful Berry Glitz. I kind of wanted to go a little bit back to my roots of doing just fun crazy nail art the last couple of weeks, and it's been really nice just playing around and pairing different colors that I've probably not paired together before. So here I am, we're going to be doing a marble. So I'm coming in with Vanilla Latte, Wine With Me, Sunset Glow, Keep It Teal, and I do add a little bit of the Berry Glitz in as well, but you don't see too much of that coming through in the marble as the other colors did overpower it a little bit. So I'm just going to place these 5 colors down on my palette. Now there are lots of different ways to do marbles, so this is just one way. When I am doing marbles with this technique, I do like to pop down a layer of blooming gel on the nail first of all. So you just want to take a small amount of blooming gel, apply it to the entire nail in a thin coat, and you want to leave this wet so we don't pop this into cure. We're going to add our gel polish marble on top of that wet blooming gel. So to transfer the marble from the palette to the nail, I'm going to use the round nail art brush, but first of all I'm just going to swirl these colors together using the dotting tool end of the dotting and gem tool. So just marbling them together a little bit on the palette. This is optional, some people don't do this, they just scoot through the colors and then lay it down on the nail. And of course the different ways you apply it, the different looks you're going to get with your marble. I haven't done a marble in ages, so this one wasn't perfect. I really liked how that first swirl of color went on. As I come over to the other side, it did just mash up a little bit more than what I wanted it to, but I still really love loved how fun and funky this looked, and it was just a really fun way to incorporate all the colors that I was going to be using into the set on one nail. So once I've gently laid that down onto the nail, I'm just coming in here and there with little bits more color. I felt as though there wasn't enough of the blue coming through at the bottom of the nail, but I really did love this center part of this marble. I'm going to come in very gently with the stripe liner brush and just pull some of the colors together where there's large patches of the vanilla latte showing, just to break it up a little bit. And then once I'm happy with the marble, I'm going to pop this in to cure for 60 seconds. Now, although the blooming gel and the gel polishes do only require 30-second cure, when you're doing marble, sometimes you'll find that you do a layer on and it ends up a little bit thicker. So I like to just do a 60-second cure just to make sure everything has cured nicely. We are going to top coat all of these nails at the end. So I'm going to move on to the second design where we're going to be doing a glitter ombre with a little bit of hand painted nail art over the top. So I'm going to come in with a small amount of berry glitz down at the cuticle area. And I really loved how this looked with that jelly effect that's in the wine with me. So I'm going to pop this down at the cuticle area, just take it down roughly just sort of halfway down the nail, and then we're going to start very gently fading out the tip of that glitter gel application and just fading this down towards the tip of the nail very lightly. I don't want to cover the entire nail. I want that tip to still be just wine with me. So very, very gently feathered that down, and I want the glitter to pop. So I'm going to do this in 2 thin coats, but when I come and apply the second coat, I don't take this as far down because I don't want to take that blend any further down than what we previously did. So very light, gentle strokes. Because with berry glitz it's set in again like a jelly base, you're not going to worry about covering up the wine with me it's not going to be too hard basically to blend down the nail. I love these kind of glitter gel polishes. It just creates a really beautiful look, whether it be to wear on its own or for under nail art. Now, because I'm going to be doing a little bit of hand painting over the top, I want to come in with a layer of no wipe top coat, no wipe matte top coat, just so we've got a nice smooth base to work on top of. And I always prefer hand painting over a matte surface as well. So we're going to apply a thin coat of the matte top coat. As you can see, it goes on glossy, and we then pop it into cure and it's going to come out matte. Now, because we are going to be doing a little bit of hand painting, of course, I'm going to do this with my Kiki London stripe liner brush. I find this an absolute essential for any kind of nail art. Now, for the nail art in this, we're just drawing on some simple leaves, but rather than doing them in white, I opted to do them in the vanilla latte so that it doesn't look too bright. It's keeping with the autumn cozy vibes. So I was just loading up my stripe liner brush there, working the color through it so that it's going to apply it nicely. And as you can see here, this glitter and wine with me combination actually looks stunning matte. It does soften the glitter effect, but I really liked it. I do come over the top of this with a glossy top coat though, because I still wanted that glitter to come to life for this set. But if you were looking for a more subtle design, you definitely could matte top coat this, and it kind of looks dramatic but subtle at the same time. So I've loaded up my stripe liner brush with the vanilla latte, and we're just going to hand paint on some simple leaves just to keep it simple. Basically, I don't tend to do too much complicated hand painted nail art because it's not something I'm very good at, but I do find the stripe liner brush a must have for any kind of hand painting, whether you are a beginner or advanced nail artist. I really loved how soft the vanilla latte looked in these leaves over the top of the glitter and the wine with me base. It just, like I said, kept everything cozy rather than being too bright. But of course, if you wanted it to look a little bit brighter, you could either come over the top with a second coat, or you could hand paint the leaves on with a chosen white. I would recommend coconut if you are wanting a really bright, vibrant white. Moving on to the next now in this design, I'm going to pop down some Sunset Glow and Keep It Teal on my palette, and I really loved how these two colors worked together. Sunset Glow is very bright, so it does give a bit of an early autumn feel, but paired up with the Keep It Teal, I thought it looked gorgeous. I do love an orange and blue combination. I don't feel as though it's a very common combination, but I feel as though it always works beautifully, whether you are using pastel shades or even neon shades or more autumnal ones like this. Now for this design, I'm going to wing it. and draw on 2 circles. By wing it, I mean that because I'm sure there's a certain way to hand paint on a circle and it be a more perfect, precise circular shape, but I was just winging it and it actually went quite well. I started off by doing the circle slightly smaller than I wanted it to be so that I could come in and make it touch up the edges, which would make it bigger, but it gave me some room to work with, if that makes sense. If you come in and did your circle large and then you've got to touch it up or neaten up the edges or try to get it a little bit more symmetrical as you go, then you're going to end up with a larger circle on the nail than what you might want. So I go in small and then I can make it bigger as I'm touching it up. I did flash cure the Sunset Glow for 10 seconds so that I didn't smudge it whilst I was painting on with the Keep It Teal. I love the 10-second flash cure feature on the Kiki London Deluxe LED lamp when I'm doing any kind of hand painting, because you can just pop it in, choose your 10 seconds. It's going to freeze that gel polish in place, so you're not going to have to stress about smudging it whilst working on the rest of the nail. And then when I've finished both of the circles, I can pop this in for a full 30-second cure so that everything has fully cured. Now on this design, I also wanted to come in with the metallic gold gel paint. Please ignore the state of my pot. I knocked this over right before showing you guys and I cleaned it up as best as I could, but as you can see, it's quite messy. So I'm just going to take a small amount off of the lid and give it a good mix on my palette, because this color, the metallic paints do separate slightly, but just giving them a good mix before you hand paint with them fixes that basically. Now these are very, very highly pigmented and they are a thinner consistency than your gel polish shades, so they make hand painting a lot easier, and I'm saying that as somebody who struggles with hand painting. So if you are wanting to get into hand painting or want to start practicing, I would highly recommend picking up one of these. The metallic gold is my favorite, but it does also come in rose, which is a really pretty rose gold, and there is a silver as well. So on that design, I just painted on 2 larger simple leaves over those splashes of colour, and I really loved how it looked. So we cured the metallic gold for 30 seconds and then I'm going to move on to the next design. Now I wanted to add on a little bit of an abstract feel. I really feel as though abstract and autumn work really well together. So I'm going to draw on 2 funky shapes. We're starting off with the Keep It Teal, and because I'm doing these shapes quite large, especially compared to the circles we did on the previous nail, I actually am going to do these in 2 coats, just because especially where we're working up in that cuticle area on this nail, if you was wearing this set or if you were doing this set on yourself or a client, you wouldn't want to have your gel polish too bulky in that area. So I'm going to apply it nice and thick, and then to make sure the colour pops and is nice and even looking, I'm going to do it in 2 thin coats. So like I said, keeping it funky with our shapes, I've loaded up my stripe liner brush and I'm going to use the stripe liner brush to paint on the entire shape. And then I've got done the Keep It Teal. We're coming in doing the tip end with Sunset Glow, and I really loved how these 2 colours look together. And then over the top of this, we're going to add on some wavy lines using that metallic gold paint, so it kind of ties all of the colours in to all of the nails. So I'm going to cure that for 30 seconds and then, like I said, come over the top very effortlessly with a second coat, just trying to keep it neat. You want to make sure you come directly over the line that you painted down first of all, so you don't get no shadow in, because if you come over the top of it and go off the edge of the nail slightly, that area will look ever so slightly fainter than the other area, so it kind of gives off an uneven look. So when you're doing that second coat of any kind of hand painting, you want to try your best to go directly over the top of the layer you've done, and don't add an additional line anywhere or additional edge, if that makes sense. So I flash cured the Keep It Teal like I did on before, and then come in with the Sunset Glow. Flash cure wasn't exactly necessary here, but I just wanted to make sure I didn't smudge anything. And then we're going to do that second coat of Sunset Glow, and it just really makes the shade pop. Didn't need that on the previous nail because we were doing layered nail art, but of course you could have done 2 coats on that nail as well if you'd have wanted to. We're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds and then add on our funky shaped lines using the metallic gold paint. So I'm going to follow the curve, but I'm going to do the first line on the vanilla latte, just following the curve of that shape, keeping it nice and wavy. And then we're going to go over the top, still following that shape that we created with the It Teal, and then leaving a little gap between each one and just coming down the nail. And I find this a really fun, easy way to do any kind of abstract look. And one of the great things about abstracts is you can make them work for any season you are in just by changing up the shades that you are using. But I really love the metallic gold paint for this kind of painting because it's so pigmented, it goes on really easily, but the gold pairs up with a majority of colors that you're going to be using. So once we had done this, I popped this in to cure for 30 seconds, and then that is all of the nail art done, because the thumbnail I decided to leave as a full color coat of wine with me, just so there is at least one nail in the design that's kind of simple, because there's a lot of nail art going on. So as a whole, this is how the set looked, but I am going to do that thumbnail matte so it still adds a kind of nail art effect to it. One of my favorite things to do is a matte and glossy combination. So we're going to be using the no wipe matte top coat on a couple of the nails and the no wipe rubber top coat on a couple of the nails as well. I love the rubber top coat for any kind of encapsulating of nail art, just because it smooths everything out. For example, when you were doing a marble, there is going to be a little bit of unevenness. The rubber top coat smooths that out. Please ignore that the brush on my rubber top coat has a bit of a bronze effect to it. A few videos back I created chrome gel polish and I used it to top coat, and I think I did say in that video to make sure you use a separate top coat because it will transfer. And although the chrome, I cleaned it by the way before I put it back in the bottle, although it's clean, it stained the brush, so no chrome is transferring onto the nails, but it does look a little bit chromed. So do bear that in mind if you're doing any kind of making chrome gel polish. If you missed that video, do check it out. I think it's two or three videos back. Now on the next 3 nails, I'm going to be matte top coating those. So I really loved how the hand painting nail art looked with a matte finish. Even though we use that metallic gold, so it's going to take away the metallic effect, it still looked really pretty with a matte finish. And like I said, I kept the wine with me. It's just a plain simple color, but having that matte top coat over the top of it added something to it. You could also maybe add some crystal to this if you did want to go full out and have nail art on every single nail, but I know sometimes I just keep my thumbs simple, especially if I'm doing my own nails. Anyway guys, this is the finished result. I loved how autumnal these looked. I love the splashes of colors, but do let me know in the comments below what you think. Now just a quick one, there is a up to 30% off sale over on the Kiki London website, so if you're looking to grab some new colors, now is the perfect time. As always, all of the products I've used and the Kiki London website is linked in the description below. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.